Hello everyone, my name is John, and it is wonderful to have you in my library today. Today I have a very special video planned that I hope that you'll enjoy. Today I'll be reading my poem, The Homecoming of Ulysses, a poetic retelling of the latter half of Homer's Odyssey. I wrote this poem to really test my ability to write poetry. It had been quite some time since I had tried my hand at it, and I thought with a long poem like that, that would be an interesting and unique way to test my writing ability. So I chose a story that I already knew and that I knew very well, that being Homer's Odyssey, and so as to not worry myself with creating a story, I adapted the latter half of Homer's Odyssey into my own work. And I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed doing it, and now that I've done this, I feel more confident to be able to write different things, some a little bit more creatively driven by myself. And so I'd love to keep you updated on that as that goes along. But for now, this is what I have. It is published on Kindle, and it's published on Apple Books. I think that they charge like $2.99 for it. It's not very long, so I don't really believe in taking, especially not $2.99, but I don't really believe in taking any money for it. So I'm happy to share it with you today, and I hope that you enjoy it. I'm very proud of it, and I thank you so much for being here and watching. Anyway, without further ado, The Homecoming of Ulysses by John Carroll, a poetic retelling of the latter half of Homer's Odyssey. O Muse, help me the praises sing of the man Ulysses, Ithaca's king, of his journey far and wide, and of his return to his son and bride. For 20 long years Ulysses was away for the war, but now back at home he prepared to even the score. For 108 suitors had pillaged his house. They dishonored his servants and courted his spouse. Thinking him dead, they dreamed of stealing his throne and taking his son's birthright for their very own. To this vile end they set a trap for his boy, to kill him and with him his mother's last joy. These vile men felt no shame. To them their evil deeds were naught but a game. Meanwhile, his wife Penelope kept them at bay, having faith against reason that her husband would return someday. They pressured her to choose which of them she would take, but she begged them for more time for her father-in-law's sake. This old man was now in his final days, so she started a funeral shroud in which he would lay. But every morning before dawn's first light, Penelope unraveled the work she had finished the previous night. And so day after day she continued this ruse, as she waited to hear from her husband some word or some news. As for Ulysses' son Telemachus, he was not dead. Saved by Pallas Minerva, there was not a scratch made to his head. He found his father in beggar's clothes, but the goddess revealed him as he rose to meet the son that he had lost 20 years ago when the sea he crossed. In the hut of a swineherd, Telemachus heard the tale of battles and voyages, of wind and of gales, the tale of Troy and Helen fair, Achilles' wrath, and Hector's care for his doomed city, his poor city doomed to fall by a wooden horse breached in its wall. Then after the city was burned and destroyed, the Greeks themselves had taken to employ, turning their ships again toward home to reach friendlier shores beyond sea foam. But fortune did not smile on Ulysses' face, for 10 more years of wandering was his fate. He landed upon a sandy shore, finding scores and scores of sheep galore, but unknown to him there a Cyclops dwelt that ate the sheep and used their pelts. He caught Ulysses' crew and locked them away, and would not release them by night or by day. And every night he ate one man, sending his soul to the land of the damned. Till Ulysses made a cunning plot, and soon thereafter it was wrought, to drive a post, sharpened and blazing, into the eye of the creature now blind and raging. On sheep they rode forth from his door to freedom, to freedom, their boats moored by the shore. But as prideful Ulysses turned his face back, he saw the Cyclops holding his face where his eye he did lack. He could not help but to call words to sting the Cyclops with gall. If any shall ask, O Cyclops brought low, who dealt thee thy wounding blow? Tell them cunning Ulysses, the sacker of towns, on whose head rests Ithaca's crown. And when the ships had gone sufficiently away, the Cyclops to his father Neptune did pray. He asked for vengeance for his marred face, and to show Ulysses no shred of grace. From that day on, from danger, trial, and snares, the intrepid travelers were not spared. For the wrath of Neptune burned continually hot, until only Ulysses alive was brought to the Titan Calypso, immortal and fair, in her isle of pleasure, free from all care. She loved poor Ulysses and would have him wed, but he himself would have rather been dead. So, at the chief god's command, Calypso was forced to relinquish this man. A raft of timber she helped him to build, to weather the waves that by Neptune would have him killed. Then from her isle did he sail to the isle of the Phaeacians, but not without gale. These kind people outfitted for him a sturdy ship, perfect for Ulysses' homecoming trip. Now back on his island in Minerva's disguise, before his son did Ulysses rise, hearing of all the evil the suitors had done, and praying that their combined might he might overcome. So father and son both went on their way to the kingly hall where the suitors did stay, and Ulysses sent his son ahead to assure his mother he was not dead. On his way in by the gate, Ulysses saw his mutt, now abandoned and flea-bit, with worms in its gut. Argos was the poor hound's name, and many a small creature had he slain, when out hunting with his master he had been, 20 long years ago, before this tale did begin. The beast now lay so old and sick, and could only his ears up prick. At the sight of the master he remembered so well, and caused Ulysses' eyes to smart and to well, even with the god's disguise and all. His master this smart beast could recall. Though Ulysses could not give his cover away, and rush by his side, and there by him stay, at last sweet Argos had found his relief, and gave up his ghost, free of grief. And as the eyes of the noble beast did finally fall, Ulysses prayed to the gods to help him kill them all, that did mistreat this poor creature so, and cause them his kingly wrath to know. On entering the hall, he saw the thrall, 108 men, eating, drinking, and making brawl. He sat in the corner to judge each one, to foil their plans and make them undone. He pondered how their downfall to bring, and to return to his throne safely as king, till one foolish bastard at him threw a stool that struck his haggard head and caused his blood to pool. His face became hot, but his hand he did stay. My vengeance must wait for another day. He got up quietly and walked away, but before him was his wife's handmaiden, who bid him not to stray. Unknowing his identity in his godly disguise, she invited him to a quiet room to sleep and to rise. But in the middle of the night, Ulysses did wake, planning all of the suitors' weapons to take. With the help of 2 servants and his son, they finished the job they had begun, and locked the weapons that the suitors had kept into a storeroom to which they had crept. But Ulysses saw, on his way back to his room, his wife Penelope going to destroy the work on her loom. She stopped him a while and spoke to him there, and apologized to him for the blood in his hair. When my husband, now dead, was alive on his throne, beggars always had a safe place inside of his home. Fear not, good woman, Ulysses said. I know these vile men will soon be dead. For the gods, seeing all things, will judge each man, and these filthy rogues will they soon damn. Ulysses revealed not his identity to his wife, for one misstep would cost him his life. But though she never revealed it, some have since said that his disguise she correctly read. For in the morn, when the suitors did rise, she offered herself as a kingly prize. A contest she set with Ulysses' special bow, setting 12 axe heads all in a row. Whichever man could the bow string, and send an arrow through the axe's iron ring, would then sweet Penelope wed, and send the other men home ashamed or dead. But when this contest did begin, no suitor fit the string therein. They tried with all their main and might, but had not the skill to bend the bow so tight. Till clever Ulysses stepped up, this challenge to meet, bidding the other men to take a seat. The suitors laughed to see the old man, but ultimately allowed him to try his hand. So Ulysses smoothly bent back the bow and restrung it in one motion and shot through the row. Through each axe head did the arrow glide and hit the wall on the other side. Then the goddess revealed him before them in splendor, bow in hand, ready for vengeance to render. Hear, you dogs, Ulysses did cry, today is the day that each of you die. My sheep and goats thou hadst ate, my maidservants thou didst violate. You shamelessly courted my wife, and tried to take my son's life. Warnings from gods and men hast thou ignored, though again and again they have implored. Now death will fall upon you all, and for your souls will Pluto call. Then taking his bow and nocking an arrow, he sent it flying through the neck of the foremost fellow. And Telemachus from behind them did spring with a shield and a spear to aid his father, the king. He pierced the leader of these heathens through his chest, until to the ground quivering his life was rest. Loyal servants locked every door with a resounding boom. Then each man knew that they had met their doom. And Minerva came down to cause greater panic by showing her shield Aegis to make them manic. Within minutes every suitor lay dead, blood lying pooled from their bodies and heads. When the mess was finally cleared, Penelope came to the place where her husband leaned. Forgive me, my lord, that I do not into your arms go, but it will take me time for my heart to know. I cannot tell if you are really my own, or some god to cause the suitors to reap what they had sown. Our bed to the guest quarters we can retrieve, for you to rest in a comfortable place, until I come to know you, after some time and some space. Then Ulysses laughed in his heart to know the way his wife tested him so. "O sweet Penelope," he said, "a god would have to be there to help me move that bed, for I did craft it before we were wed, using the trunk of a living tree as the first bedpost. Never a more beautiful bed could any couple boast. Our bed is like our love, living and strong, giving us both a place to belong. For 20 long years you have held on to hope, and with my long absence you have had to cope. Come into my arms, my loving wife, and let us renew our blissful life, ruling the blessed isle, Ithaca fair, living a peaceful life, free from all care." Then into his arms she fell swimming in tears, and they wept until morning broke for 20 lost years. Then drying their eyes they took some rest, and thanked the gods that they were blessed. But one more journey would Ulysses make, to appease the god Neptune, the lord of sea and quakes. He would have to take a sturdy oar, and walk it far away from the shore, unto a land that knew no such thing like the ore that he would bring. Then he would plant it in the soil, and build an altar there after his toil, so that the worship of the god might spread, and remove the curse from Ulysses' head. Then turning back he would come home again, to Ithaca's fair and happy plain, and rule his fair and pleasant land till death would take him to Elysium's golden strand. The end. Once again, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you all again very soon. I do hope that you also would consider subscribing if you were inclined to do so. That would help me very much. And the likes that I get are also very encouraging to me as I'm getting started on this platform. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. And I hope to see you all again very soon. Thank you.